Hi, I'm Cynthia for Artbeads.com, and Sherry is with me today.
Hi.
And Sherry's gonna show us how to make an Arabian bracelet design. And you made them with some two-hole CzechMates,
Right. Diamond and brick.
Yes, so we're pretty excited about that. This is a great project if you don't know how to use the two-hole because the instructions are pretty easy.
Easy. We've got step-by-step instruction and a PDF diagram. So,
Great.
and then I'm here to kind of walk you through that. So,
Great. Yeah. You all love our video that we did with my Dame Sailfly bracelet. So we thought we should try today with those diamond beads. So I'm very excited. If you're watching live, Katie will be answering your questions from our Artbeads account. And if you are watching on YouTube, all the links will be below this video, and remember to subscribe if you want to know about our new videos. So shall we start?
let's get started.
Yes,
Yay.
and it's Laura that is behind the camera. It's her first time, and she will try to read your comments. So Laura, why don't you come this way, and she's gonna come over Sherry's shoulders to have a better shot of what we have here.
And we have some hello alls and good morning.
Hi.
and
Good
Good
morning.
morning, everyone. So Sherry, what do we have?
Okay, so this is the Arabian Princess bracelet, and I just love these colors, these turquoisey
Yes.
and bronze colors. And so this is the little brick bead that's down the center. It's transparent.
Okay.
And then I have two different colors of diamond, two-hole diamond beads, and then little 15-aught seed beads on the edges, and then a really cute little button on the end. So I'm going to show you how to make this.
That looks really
Right?
beautiful.
People get a little worried about two-hole beads
Right.
and where does the thread go?
Right.
And they're all different, and so this is how to do this one.
Right, and the thing to point out also is the CzechMates. They're really great because they are locking together so well. They made to go together.
Exactly.
It's like Legos.
Right. The holes on the diamond beads line up with the holes on the brick beads and many of the others, and so they all work together just
Yes.
beautifully. So this is the bracelet, and I'm going to show you. This is what the PDF looks like, and you can print this out. Oops, sorry, Laura. And you can draw on this, you can color it, you can mark this however you need to. I mean, that's what I do. When I have instruction, if it's markable, I mark it. And so this is the beginning of the bracelet, and it builds this way. And then this part of the diagram gets into how to finish the end to add the toggle.
Okay.
And then this part down here goes this way to show you how to build the loop for the closure.
Right, on the other side.
Right.
Okay.
And so we're going to start by building a little piece of the bracelet, and then I will show you how to get started on each of the ends as well
Great.
for finishing.
Great.
But before I get into beads, I want to kind of just walk through this diagram and show, how am I reading this? And so we're starting at this end. This is showing my tail and the stopper bead. And then if we just follow this thread through, this is the first bead that thread is going to go through. And then it goes through a hole of this bead, and then a hole of this bead. And then it loops around. It goes through the second hole of this bead right here. And then it goes here, which is a new bead. And then it goes here, which is the second hole of this bead. And then a new bead, and then 3 little beads, and then it comes down. And so I won't walk through every single one right now, but just to show you, this thread path is doing this sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a continuous loop
Right.
once you get those first few beads on. And then it just continues for the length of the bracelet that you're building.
So we had a question if it was a multi-strand wire wrap bracelet, but it is not.
It is not. It is a thread stitched bracelet,
Yeah, so
basically.
weaving, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll set that aside. And so first we're going to, I like to put a stopper bead or use a bead stopper on the end just to kind of keep things in place.
Right.
And so if you're not familiar with using a bead as a bead stopper, you just simply thread. I use a bead that sort of is different from the other beads I'm working with, just so it shows up. In this case, it's just a black round bead, but I could even use one of these beads that I'm working with if I wanted to. So thread goes through it, and then you go back through the hole to make a loop.
I think by choosing a different bead, there is no confusion.
Exactly.
Yes. Sherry, how long is your thread when you start?
So I like to work usually with a couple yards. That would be sort of 2 wingspans of thread. I'm not using that much right now, or I would have my arms all over the place. I'd be bumping into everybody. But
and for your tail, how long do you leave?
Well, I like to leave my tail extra long because you can see on this end we're going to be adding a loop closure. So I like to use my tail for that instead of having to add a new thread to do so. So I have, I don't know, give it maybe a foot.
Okay.
It doesn't maybe need to be quite that long, and if it's longer, that's fine too. It's just, it'll be there when you need it. Yeah.
Is this something a beginner can do?
This is, I think, pretty easy. I honestly, I don't see why not. I would say try it. And there are different things that you can do to make it easier. You can maybe lay out some of your beads. You can look at the diagram and see that you've got, 4. Let's start with the first 4. Well, the diagram shows 5, so let's put 5 out there. Yeah. And then in this example, I have the light turquoise diamond bead next to those, and there's 1 on each side, and you can see that they kind of stagger if you look at the pattern.
This is a great tip, Sherry. I love that.
So this way, and especially if you set a set amount, let's say. Now, in this case, the diagram just shows a little snippet.
Right.
And if you just say, okay, I'm just going to lay out just those beads, then you know that when you get to the end, if you've got beads left over, if you've run out of beads, then maybe something's gone awry. But this way you kind of know which beads to pick up if you're not real confident about the pattern. And you can see I'm spreading them way out, but basically this is the placement that will take place.
Okay.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And Cynthia, you're doing it in a little different colorway over here.
Yes, this is kind of a rose gold color with some kind of a gold. I'm not sure which seed bead I'm going to use yet on the side, so this is the colors that I chose.
Pretty.
And this button too is really pretty.
Aren't those pretty?
Yeah.
I love rose.
So it's a type of bracelet you can do over and over in different colors. And I'm excited to do that, Sherry.
There's so many different colors in these beads to choose from that you could make a whole bunch of these. And each one would be different. So according to our diagram, and maybe I could pull this up again, maybe have it just to the side so we can see. So here's our tail, and we're going to go through one of these brick beads. It's the inside color, whatever this inside color is that you've chosen. In my case, it's this light turquoise. So I'm not worrying about which of these 2 holes I'm putting it through at this moment. It just goes through a hole, and then I'm picking up a bar bead. Ultimately, it will be the second hole, but right now it doesn't matter. And then another one of these inside beads. So I've got these 3 beads on, 2 diamonds. So one diamond, 1 bar, 1 diamond.
1 brick and 1...
or brick, there we go.
Yes.
And then I'm going to pull that down near my bead stopper, and I'm going to put it on the mat so you can see. They're a little flippy floppy at first. They like to kind of go in different directions, but this is the direction that I want them to go.
Okay. So the brick is out and the diamond are in.
Right.
Okay.
And right now there's nothing keeping them in place.
Right.
They're going to kind of move about. That's why I like to kind of lay it down when I first get going. So next, our thread is coming around here, and it's going to go back through that second hole of the diamond bead, which is this hole right here.
Okay.
And then we're picking up a new brick bead. And this is a little awkward at first. You kind of have to pick it up off your mat, put it back down, pick it back up again. But after that, then, so it's going through the brick, and then it's going through that second hole of that diamond bead. So like this, and you'll be able to see this better when I actually get it in place. And get my thread down where I want it. And they have a mind of their own, so you have to tell them, do this. Okay, so
loving the colors.
Yeah, isn't that pretty? So what I did is through this diamond bead, one hole through the brick, through the diamond, second hole of the diamond, through the brick, through the diamond. And so we've left off right here. So next our thread is going to go through the second color of the diamond, through one hole.
Karen likes your color combo and your nails here.
Oh, thank you. So now I've added this second brick, and of course it wants to do its own thing, but basically what we want it to do is that. And you can see that it's taking a little fussing to make it do what we want it to do. Once we get, about a ½ inch or so, then you can actually hang on to it and hold that in your hand so that it's workable. So now we're going to add these 3 little seed beads on the end. These are 15-aught rounds. So I've got 4 there. Oops.
Oh, you need 4.
3. No, 3.
Okay.
3 is the correct number.
Okay.
And then, so those are going to just cover up this outside, and then you're going to go back through that second hole of that same bead. And then while I'm at it, I'm going to add a new diamond bead. That's my inside color. And then I'm going to go through that second hole of my brick bead, and then I can see I'm actually going to need another diamond. Oops. Can you see this okay? I think
so. Can everybody see it okay?
Like
I
so.
think you've done this before.
Yeah, a few times. Okay, so at this point it's good to just kind of pull your thread down so everything kind of goes in place. Now you can do this, one little section at a time, but sometimes your needle is right there, so it's easy just to put those in place. So what we did was we just added these 3, then we went through the second hole of this outer color. We added a new inside diamond bead, and then went through the second hole of the brick bead. We added a new diamond bead. And now what we want to do, now we're going to kind of go backwards. You kind of think, oh, just keep going this way. But right now, what we want to do is add a outside color right here. So I'm going to just add it to the needle. And you go there, and you go there. So that's what I want it to do. You have to make it do that. And then we're going to go through this second hole. But first, I'm going to add 3 little seed beads. And then through that hole. And now what we're going to do is we're going to run our thread all the way through the existing holes that line up with it. Do I have the right one? Yeah. We're gonna, oh, wait a sec. I'm in the wrong hole.
So tiny.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want the second hole. Here we go.
I have to take my work out because I did a mistake.
So second right here. We're going in this hole right here. Sorry about that. That's what lines up. And I'm even going to go outside this, there. So can you see how I've got that lined up? So these three, so I've running backwards through this hole here, and then just the holes that line up with it all the way to the outside of the outside color, and I'm going to pull the thread through.
Oh, I
How's
see.
that?
Well, I went through the wrong side of my brick, and so I did things wrong. So now I'm here, I'm adding a diamond, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then
So
the
Cynthia's
seed
adding this
beads.
diamond. Yeah.
Okay, and then 3 seed beads,
Mhm.
right? And I'm going back here, and then this one here,
Yep. Just straight through.
straight until,
You can come out
Until here?
We're actually going to go through those 3 seed beads.
okay,
So if you accidentally went through one of them, don't bother to remove it.
Okay.
Because we're going to go through those next. But yeah, so out there. So at this point, this is where I would probably pick it up in my hands.
so much easier when it's in your hands.
When it's in your
Yeah,
hands,
it's on your
yeah.
Oh, thank you, Kimberly, for my camera work.
Oh,
Trying to get close so you guys can see the detail.
there we go.
Yeah.
So now you're looking at it backwards here. This is what we have going. My thread is coming out here, and I want it to go through these 3 seed beads. So I'm going to flip it around in my hands just because it's easier to get the needle into those 3 beads from that direction. And this ultimately this reinforces the bracelet as well.
Right.
And then we're going to run the thread down straight through, but we're not going to come out the brick on the outside. We're going to come out on this inside brick bead, and I'll show you that on the diagram as well. After I pull this through, I'll lay it down so you can see. Okay, so we came out here, we went through these 3 beads, and then through this hole, this hole, this hole, and now we're coming out of this hole here. So you can see my thread.
So your thread is under the outside diamond.
Right,
bead.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
not outside the outside of the bracelet.
Okay.
And I can show
So
you
where
that
were
on the
you?
diagram too. So on the diagram, we've just added these 3 beads, and then we're coming straight through these beads. Oh, did I miss one? No, we're good.
I know, it's good.
1, 2, okay. Straight through, but we're not coming all the way out here. You can see the thread cuts across right over, or right in between these beads.
Okay.
And
Just kind of
So
getting
this-
ready to add.
the brick in the center,
brick.
right? So at this point, I'm going to pick it up and work it in my fingers. So we're going to go through this second hole of this diamond bead. I'll pull that through so you can see. And now we're adding our new brick bead, and then it's got to go through this hole like that.
Checking the diagram
And then
again.
I
make sure you're
am
on
always
track.
checking, right? Because I get carried away, and then make sure I'm going the right way. So we're on this thread right here. So now we need, this bead doesn't exist. So we're going to add that, which is here.
Yes, the diagram is very helpful.
It's very helpful. I'm going to lay this down again so you can see. So there's the diamond that we just added. And then we want the 3 little seed beads over the top. And so then back through. This time I won't add all those beads all at once. We'll do it one at a time here.
And after you do that a few times, then it's just
Then
repeat.
exactly. Repeat. It starts making sense. So
yes, exactly.
the start is always just a little different than that repeat. So here you can see, oh, I need, one of these beads in here. And then it's going to go through this hole. And now I need another one of these.
Laying bricks.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is where we go backwards again because we want this bead right here like that. So we're going to pick up a hole. It's going to sit that way, but we need its 3 little seed beads. And then through, then we line up those holes again. And this is where we go all the way through. I'm going to pick it up. Whoops.
It looks complicated, but it's very logical.
It is.
Then it's
once
really
you
like
get going,
a Lego. It's like, oh yeah, I need that piece, and then I need that piece, and I need to go through there.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah, once you see them fitting together, it's more logical.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so this is where I go all the way through to the outside of that bronze colored bead in my case. Whoops. And then this, I'm going to go through those 3 seed beads.
What size are those?
These are 15-aught. Little guys.
Little.
They're very small.
Yes, yeah. And then, okay, so, and if you ever get confused, and this is the beauty part of the stopper, is sort of your, well, which way am I going? Where am I? Am I on this edge? Am I on, am I on this edge of the diagram? Am I on this one? Well, here's the stopper bead. So I just, lay it down, get it lined up with my diagram again if I get confused, and see, okay, I'm up on this edge up here, not this one. I've just gone through the second group of rounds, and now we're going to work our way back.
Someone asked why you use thread instead of wire.
Rather than jewelry wire, thread is, you have so many beads that you're going through, and many of the beads you end up going through multiple times. And jewelry wire is typically too heavy to do that. And it's also stiffer. Mm-hmm. And so this makes a really fluid, nice drapey piece. So I'm sorry, Laura. So I've gone through these 3, and now I'm going to come all the way down here to make this loop. And so I'm going back through those holes and then out this one, not that one.
So you can make the loop.
Yeah. Oops. And this is my loop. There. And then it's the brick. And then we just move on. And then it's just repeat.
Yeah.
Pretty.
I'm not saying anything because I'm just enjoying this.
Good.
But
oh, look how pretty that is.
How far I went, because it's really a repetition of just doing this. The first couple ones were a little tricky because you don't really know what to do, but then it's like, oh yeah, you
Just
can
carry
see.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really
good.
like it's obvious which bead has to come next.
Right, yeah. You got to lay
So-
those beads out where they belong, or there'll be a hole, right?
Yes, exactly.
It becomes really obvious.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm going to move forward.
Yes.
And I'm going to show how to go about finishing this end here that has the button. I typically like to do my button or loop to my toggle
Okay.
first, and then add my loop of beads or
Right.
my bar to my toggle
Yes.
last. That's how I usually like to do it. You don't have to do it that way.
Yes. I think it's easier because if you have your button first, then you know you can
How
see
big to
easily.
make that loop.
Yes.
Exactly. So this one is right lined up with, I've got this little sample. I need to get my needle on there.
Yes, there is a chill in the air. They see long sleeves and sweaters. It's getting cold here in the Pacific Northwest.
It was nearly freezing
It was.
Yeah.
overnight
My
a
son thought it
couple
was gonna
nights ago.
snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are definitely in fall. There've been some beautiful sunshiny
And our
days too.
sunsets are
Yeah.
gorgeous lately.
But definitely cooler. Okay, so this little strip matches up this section of the diagram, which is where you need to be then to move on to do this first portion of the approach, we'll call it, to the button. This is showing a toggle bar, but we're actually going to do a button. Well, actually, I think what's showing is the edge of the button.
Where
There we
you
go.
would
Yeah,
attach it.
you're seeing like its profile. So we have, let's turn it, which direction am I going here? Yep, I got it flipped. This is why. Where's my stopper bead? Okay, I had it upside down.
Good tip.
So there we go. So here's stopper bead up on that edge. And the diagram is showing, this little black dot is showing where my thread is exiting, or in this case, where we're going to be starting from. So you can see that my thread is coming out of this first hole of this diamond bead, but not going through this one. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 little seed beads to this edge. And the reason we're doing that simply is because if we don't, then you're just going to see the thread. And so we've added 2 seed beads to cover that thread up so it looks prettier. And so I'm going to slide those little beads down, and then that's going to go through this second hole of this diamond bead. Like that. And then the diagram is showing that we pick up a new bar bead. And then our thread needs to go through this diamond bead. Which puts that in place. And now we want 2 little beads to match on this side, but this time our thread is coming out of the second hole of this bead, so we're going to go backwards and cover up that space with 2 little seed beads. So now we're going to go down through that brick bead. We're also going to go through the bar bead, and then we're going to come out of this, get my needle there so you can see. So I'm going through the second hole of this diamond bead, and then the holes that line up running straight through, which brings me back out to where I started, where these 2 little beads come into play. So basically I just circled around to add 2 beads here, add this bead, and then the 2 beads there. So now I want to move forward, but I'm back here behind these beads. So now I'm going to go through them. Oops, but I missed one. hello, little bead.
So you're basically trying to even it out. So
Exactly.
You have an end bead there.
Exactly. I need to get back where I can move forward. And the object is you just don't want to see threads running between things. So you either go through them or add new beads. And so now I've, on this diagram, you can see I've just come out of these two. And I want my thread to come out over here. So to do that, I need to go through the diamond bead and then the brick. And so my thread is exiting this first hole that we put in of that brick bead. And then we move down to this portion of the diagram. And now I want to do the same thing here. I want to put these little seed beads on these edges to cover up the thread that would otherwise show. So basically I'm going to add 2 seed beads. I'm going to go through this hole, add 2 seed beads, go backwards again, and then come out these 2 beads.
Securing your thread.
Exactly. Yeah.
How's it going, Cynthia?
Well, I'm like, okay, I really like that. So some mistake that I made is I thought that my needle went through one of the hole and it didn't, so I have to go back. And then this bead was turning this way, so then there was a hole here, so I have to turn my diamond. So it's just little things here and there. But now I really understand how it goes, so it gets pretty easy.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it is. I really like that. It feels really good too. I mean, you see the diamond have like, you think it's pointy, but no, it feels really smooth.
Aren't they?
It
Yeah,
feels
they're
really
really
good.
soft.
Yes,
Not
it
pointy
is.
at all.
Yes.
Okay, come back over here.
Okay, so we've just added these 2 seed beads and these 2 seed beads. And my thread, you can see, is coming out. I went back through these existing beads and my thread is exiting those here. And so now we move to this portion of the button. So what I did was, here's where the thread's coming out. I'm going to add a 3rd bead just for a little extra length. And then I'm going to add the button. And I'm going to go through the loop of the button, and then I'm going to go back through all 3 of those beads and then through this brick bead. So I have my 2 here. I'm adding a 3rd. This is just to kind of extend beyond the brick bead. Otherwise the button's going to bump into it. And then I'm going to pick up my button and put that through the shank of the button. So if you can see, let's see, we'll do it this way. So thread's coming up through, and then I like to kind of wrap it around it at least maybe once, maybe even twice, to kind of draw it down into place. And you can do that later too, but while I'm at it, it just kind of helps so it's not so floppy. And now I'm going to go back through these 3 seed beads right here. Oops. There we go. So through those 3. And I'm going to kind of draw the button up, pretty close. It's still a little loose, so it won't stay quite yet. And now I'm going to go through this brick and then out through these 2 seed beads.
Do you need to leave the button some room to move real tight, or?
Oops. You want it to be able to move. You don't want to snug it up so tight that it's causing friction on the end of this bar bead. And I just undid my thread. How you doing, Cynthia? There we go.
I'm trying to see what you're doing, and at the same time, I'm like, no, I want to finish
It's
this.
your pretty bracelet because it goes with your outfit.
So I'm sorry.
A zen zone here.
Yay. So now through these two little guys. And so, yeah, you want to you don't want to pull that button so tight that it's, over here. You want, basically, when you're done, you want it nice and centered over this brick bead. So I've got a little slack there right now. And then I'm adding that third little bead here. Oops. And now I'm going to come up through the toggle on this side. And by doing it this way, what it does is it centers this button over the beads instead of off to one side. So I looped it around once, and now I'm going to go back through these 3 beads again. This is going to kind of shore the button up and center it really well. Oops. And so if I hold it up close, there, if you can see, so I came out, I looped around this shank a couple times, I went back through here, cut across here, added my bead, looped it around, and now I'm back through here. And now these threads are kind of spread out, and I don't know if some of you do sewing, but when you sew buttons to clothing, very often you go back and wrap thread around the base of the button, which I'll show you in a minute.
Whoa, I don't know that.
Yeah, and what it does is it kind of shores up all those, hello, there we go. Shores up all those threads. So see how I've got all these threads here. You can see the threads looping around, and I've got the 2 threads. So there's space here between this and this. It doesn't always work, but in this case, I like it. So what I'm doing is I'm just making a wrap. And then see what that did is it just pulled those all together nice and tidy. Mm-hmm. See how that looks? It just looks tidy.
Yes.
It's centered over the beads.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's sturdier. It gives it some buffer. It's just more secure.
Right.
I'm going to go one more time. And then I like to, I'm going to approach this from the other side. Then I like to kind of make a little knot. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just run my needle through that wrap, so to speak. Pull it down till I've got this little loop here, and then I'm going to run my needle through that, and that's going to make a little knot. And I'm going to do that one more time. Oops. You don't have to.
Sherry, I love this. I didn't know that at all. I don't sew.
We have a couple of people thanking you for the tip. Yes.
Yes, this is great.
Katie says it's like a thread crimp cover.
Right, there we go. And look what I did.
True.
I caught my little 3rd bead underneath that thread because I couldn't see it. Oh, there we go. Free that little guy. Get him back into place. You won't do that. There we go. Now he's in place.
Oh,
So that makes it just nice and tidy and secure. I've made one knot. When you do the stitching with thread, then to finish you weave this thread in and out, and there will be another knot. So I don't necessarily have to make another knot here, but I can if I want to. Right. And then it's just weaving it into the work. Okay, those are a little tight.
I always think that it's safer to weave then the rest of the thread in the bead than just cut the thread by the button.
Right.
You never know.
Exactly. And so I'm finding that to get my thread back through these little beads, because we've gone through them a few times, this needle is a little too heavy.
Yes.
So I'm going to stop. This is probably an 11 knot, which is what I usually work with. Mm-hmm. I would need to go down to a 12 or finer to finish, which I don't have here. So we're going to call that good for now. So, but you get the idea. And then there's
and
your...
that happened to me too, where I have to change needle sizes.
Right,
So it's
right.
always good to have different sizes, because when you work with teeny beads like that, you might need a very small
Exactly.
needle too.
Yeah. And how are we doing on time? We can still do the other end?
So I just want to show my mistake. So that's the thing, when I learn something new, I can get very excited and then I go too fast.
Like,
I have to learn to slow down. So I've been doing this, and then I look here, it's like, oh no, right here. I went above the bead, I didn't go through the hole, so I can see my thread right here. So I'm gonna have to take those out and redo it.
Okay. Yeah, I do that
So
all the
I just
time.
have to teach myself, just slow down.
Check your diagram hand.
But we do, we get kind of on a roll, and then you realize, oh,
Exactly.
maybe I wasn't paying attention. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so now I'm going to show you the other end. It's going to be very similar. This is what it would. This was our starting point. And so I'm going to remove this stopper bead and put my needle on this end.
It's still gorgeous, Gina says, Cynthia.
Isn't it?
Thank
It's
you.
such a pretty color combination. Now hopefully,
Yes.
hopefully I've got enough thread on this end. Okay, so oops. We'll pretend that end is all finished now. So here I am. My stopper bead was coming out of here, and now I have it coming out of here. And so the concern is, where does the thread go? How do I get the thread this way? And to do that, I need to go backwards if I don't want that thread to show. And so that's why, again, we put these threads going to go backwards. I'm going to put these 2 little seed beads to cover the thread. I'm going to go back through this hole, over to the other side, add 2 little seed beads, and go through this hole, through the brick. Going to come out. I'm going to add my 2 little seed beads. It's going to cover up the thread on this edge. Go through, add 2 seed beads. That's going to cover up that little edge. Back through, and then out those seed beads. And then, so this is where we're at now. We've just done all that business. Then we're going to add our approximately 23 or so. It depends on the button you use. So if your button's bigger or smaller, you'll need to adjust that. And then follow this through, and then just go straight through those seed beads, and then it's a matter of weaving through. I like to go through a loop more than once to just have a stronger thread. So I would circle back, go through, come out, loop around again, back through, and then tie off.
Right.
So so that's how you add that.
And I think that's why I love bead weaving too. There are so many ways. Just by weaving through your work, you can always add bead, you can always hide your thread. There is not just one way.
Exactly.
That's why I love it.
Exactly. And this thread path doesn't have to be the thread path that you follow. If you find a way, like I didn't have to bring this thread all the way down here. I could have brought it under here and gone up. Where's my pen? So we came here, and then I bring it all the way down here, and then go all the way up here. You could have done this loop right here. I chose to bring it down here because it just is more secure.
Yes.
It adds some durability to the bracelet. So I came all the way through. You don't have to.
Right.
And maybe, maybe you decide not to add this whole row on. Maybe you do that after.
Right.
It just, there's all kinds of different ways. This is just how I thought of doing it.
Missy wants to know, do you think you can use an 11-aught instead of 15?
11-aught is going to, they're a little bigger, and so it'll make a little more of a little triangle. The one bead will sit here, the other 11-aught will be next to it, and then the third bead will be up. So a little more pointy. You can do that. It's just going to have a different look.
That would be really cute
It's
too.
going to be really cute.
I saw someone, when I made my damselfly bracelet, I had some seed bead, and that person put a fire polish.
Cute.
2 or 3 millimeters. That was really cute too. So you just have to try and add the beads that you have, and
Exactly.
I think it's a great design too.
Exactly. Any other questions? I can keep stitching just to finish the loop, but
I haven't seen any.
Meanwhile, okay. So we'll go back. So we still have a little time.
Yes, we do.
So I'm going backwards and I'm adding these 2 little seed beads to cover up the thread that I'm going to create by going backwards. And where's that hole at? There it is. So I'm through this hole, back through the brick, and through the second hole. So that just added these 2 little beads. And now I'm going to run my thread across here, adding 2 little seed beads to cover that up. This is where the 11-aught, if you used an 11-aught seed bead, it would be a little different. They'd be a little larger, and you might have to adjust. Maybe it's just 1 instead of 2. So I've just added those 2. Oops. But what I meant to do was not go through that. There we go. So I've come out here, and now I'm going to add my 2 little seed beads here. Oops. Let's add them. Cover up that edge. There we go. And then I'm going to go backwards, adding my 2 little seed beads to cover up that edge. And now I need to go through these 2 little seed beads to get out to the end. Like that. And now I add my 23 or so little beads. 5. Oops. I tend to sometimes lose count when there's, several, so I'll do it in little groups so I don't have to keep counting backwards or counting over and over again. Okay.
So for new people like Gina, she says she's new at this. I'm not sure what 11s or 15s are. I guess they're sizes, but I don't understand numbering.
They are sizes. So it's to the a 15-aught is a smaller bead, and I think it
used to be.
Because they do vary, but it takes more. It takes, let's say, 15 beads per a specific length of a smaller bead. Of a slightly larger bead, the 11-aught, it takes 11 of those per what that measurement is.
Yes.
And I forget what that is at the moment.
Yes. It used to be this way, but yes.
Yeah.
So the 15 are the smallest ones.
Yeah. Oh, I lost my... Right.
So the bigger the number, the smaller the bead.
Yes.
Yes.
We have to think about it.
That just didn't sound right, but it's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense, but yes.
Exactly.
Loving the pattern, already thinking of colors. What is the
great.
length of the original pattern?
What is the length of your bracelet right here, Sherry?
The wrist size is probably a 7. It'll say in the instructions what the finished size is. And then if you need to add or shorten per wrist size. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, I think that was 15.
And I know it can be intimidating to work with the 2-hole, but when you start, then I promise you're gonna want to do more.
It gets easier,
really
doesn't it?
See the possibilities.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think I have 23 on there. I may have lost count. So now I'm going to go back down through these 2 seed beads to make my loop. And I'm not going to tie this off yet or go any further. What I want to do at this point then is go to, let's say, the other end of my bracelet where that button is, and then test it and make sure that it fits around the button. And actually that looks like it's a little small. But anyway, you will adjust accordingly. I might not have gotten 23 on there. I might have lost count. But basically that's what I do.
Right.
So your button would already be attached, and then if it's too small, add some more.
Right.
Until it's just right, and then you're going to tie off by weaving your thread in through the in through the beads.
So I have one little tip when I try like that and I put my button. So when you tend to pull on it, so then you have a space here, and you kind of make a false estimate. So what I do is I take my bead stopper.
There you go.
And I put my bead stopper in here.
Perfect.
So then when I pull on the thread to try the button, nothing is moving.
You can tell.
That's why you always need those teeny.
Awesome. Especially the little ones.
Yes.
Yeah, they're so handy.
I always use those a lot for
Yay,
weaving.
good tip.
Thank you. Yes. Well, thank you, Sherry.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I actually have one more tip. So Laura is trying to go back to
There we go.
in front of us.
Here we go.
Yes, so I have one more tip is, like I said, I made a mistake on my design. So I thought I'm just going to take the beads out and then redo it again. But because we go through those beads several times, and sometimes my needles probably went through
You're gonna
the
pierce.
thread. Yes, I pierced my thread, and I can see my thread is really weak. So you know what? I just need to cut everything and restart it. Don't work with a thread that is too weak, because you don't know if your bracelet's gonna last.
Exactly. Start over. And you're close to the beginning.
Yes.
So starting over isn't that big of a deal. If you had done that maybe way down here, you don't want to rip all that out. But still, tie that worn off thread off, and then weave a new thread in. That's going to be nice and strong.
It's much better. Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much,
Yeah,
Sherry.
you're welcome.
I'm super excited. I think, well, I need to finish this one, then I want to try some other colors too. That would be fun. And if you are making this bracelet, also please share with us. We would love to see what you're making. So you can tag us on our Instagram, on Twitter, or you can join also our private Facebook group. It's called Serious Artbeaders.
Excellent.
Yes, that was very fun. Also, don't forget to head to artbeads.com for the full instruction.
Right.
You have the PDF, you have the written instruction also for this bracelet. And if you are watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe. To subscribe and and click on the bell to get notified for all our new videos. So thank you very much. Thank you, Sherry, again. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir. À bientôt.
Bye-bye.